Hello, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hello, everyone, and I am Brandon.
You almost forgot.
With-
You went almost 150 episodes without messing that up, and then tripped right at the finish line. Welcome everyone to Apathetic Enthusiasm, the show where
I'm
we talk
Brandon.
about and he's Brandon, and I'm Travis, and we're streaming live on Twitch and on YouTube, and coming to your ear holes through whatever podcatcher you choose to get your podcast from. Thank you so much for tuning in. So happy that you could join us for
Yeah,
another Monday evening.
I'm
The
Brandon.
this is the thing to look forward to on Mondays. That and Monday Night Football, and I will not probably catch a Monday Night Football game this season. It's for as long as we are podcasting, so that's fine.
That's
That's
true.
fine.
Even
Everything's
if
fine.
even if the Chargers are playing, even if the Dolphins are playing.
Let's hope for a Monday Night Football game: Chargers versus Dolphins. That'd be a real barn burner.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, how are the Chargers doing this year?
they have blown two leads and are 1-2 because I think they've played three games. That's how long the season has been.
Well, in a way, we are kind of in the same boat. That we're not blowing a lead off of most points scored against. I think.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing fine. Hey, if you want to follow us along on social media, there are plenty of ways that you can do that. You can follow us collectively at Apathusiast. I am at Jocomino. He is at Barnyard Cruise. Uh,
Barnyard.
Barnyard. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/apathetic enthusiasm show, or you can follow our Instagram, apathetic_enthusiasm. If anyone is still using email, you can shoot one to us at apatheticenthusiasmshow@gmail.com, or go to our website, apatheticenthusiasm.com, where you can find this podcast in interdimensional RSS and submit it for your approval, and probably a blog post about pot pies. I don't know if that's still up there. Who knows? Who knows?
It is. It is. That might be. Well, it's still there somewhere.
It's nothing ever dies on the internet.
Archived. It's archived.
It's archived. Hey, all right. That something made a noise. So
Was that me?
No, you didn't make a noise. Oh no, D Squeeze is hosting us on Twitch. Thanks, D Squeeze.
Oh,
You're
all
a
right.
real pal.
Oh man, I
Uh,
missed it.
and thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/Rick and Morty Pod who continue to support us there financially. If you want to watch this show live and see my face, or more specifically Brandon's face, head over to twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm, or follow us on YouTube. Just search for Apathetic Enthusiasm. We're so close. We're so close to those 100 subscribers. We need to actually tweet about it and see if people will follow us there. And then we can give you our handy dandy URL, and I don't have to make you search all the time.
That's right.
But that's all the formalities out of the way. That's the must dos. And now it's just me and you, Brandon, and
Just me and you.
and the lovely folks watching at home. What is the haps? What's going on?
Now, there's not a lot. There's not a lot going on with me. In fact, this whole episode is dedicated to us not having done a single thing in the 2 weeks since we last did it. This is Brandon and Travis's Apathetic Enthusiasm. What should we have done podcast, where we talk about things we should have done over the 2 weeks.
I feel like I was so busy over the last 2 weeks, but I don't know how much I actually accomplished.
Well, let's start with that. Travis, what's the first thing you think of when you think of I should have done that?
This got real weird. I did a lot of stuff. Here's what I should have done.
All right.
Because this happened in the last 2 weeks. There was an iPhone announcement, and Apple does their annual, hey, here's the next version of the iPhone, go buy it right away. And I have not bought one right away in about 3 years, so I was feeling like it might be time for an upgrade, and I talked it over with the significant other, and we're like, yeah, we're getting iPhones, we're gonna get them. So I was gonna pre-order on the morning when you could pre-order it, and I was out at that pumpkin patch that has been talked about on our podcast recently, and a friend of mine's like, oh yeah, you can like pre-order, and you can get pre-approved, so that on Friday morning you can just pre-order it and be good. And this is the thing I should have done, is I should have paid more attention when I was doing the pre-order. than I did while I was standing in line and talking to other people. Because when I pre-ordered me and my wife's phones, I put my phone number on both phones. So when they shipped, when they fast forward to a couple days ago, when they shipped the phones to me, they were both set up for my phone number, which means when I like set mine up, no
Mhm.
problems.
No
When I
problems at all.
when I went to set my wife's up, all the problems. I couldn't set hers up. I tried swapping out SIM cards, doing all this stuff, and
Like,
it's
here's
not
a SIM card, there's a SIM card. Let's swap them up.
it didn't work. And then in the midst of
Swap.
like I was on the phone with like AT&T and Apple for like an hour, and in the middle of that, they're like, "Oh, try this." And I tried activating it with her old SIM card in it, and then all of a sudden I lost the call, like, and it dropped, and I was like, ugh, if just adding insult to injury, I can't get this figured out. Well, at least my phone's working. She has her old cell phone. Let's go out for the day and take care of the business that we have to take care of. And it wasn't until I was out of my house, out of my Wi-Fi area, that I realized what I had done. I had deactivated my phone number on my phone
Yeah.
in an attempt to activate her number. And so I carried a brick around in my pocket almost all afternoon. Occasional.
What happened to your phone?
What?
What happened to your phone? Like, why were you carrying a brick? Shouldn't you have been carrying
I was carrying a rather useless iPhone
a
11 around in my
case?
pocket. Huh?
A case? Is that just a case?
No, it has the phone in it. It's in
Oh,
there.
okay. All right. You know, you're using all these terms that I just never, in the IT career field, I've never ever heard of someone refer to something broken and empty as a brick.
A brick. Uh, I use that term all the time. I think.
I did just have this conversation actually not more than like 2 weeks ago, where someone was like, "A brick? What? What are you talking about? Like the hard drives, they're bad. We need to take all these hard drives. They're all bricked." Like what?
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 And then
Anyway,
they put their glasses up, all 5 of their glasses.
so Saturday night I went to
Quad
AT&T,
pro
got the whole thing figured out. My phone works, her phone works. We added a line. My child has a cell phone now. It's
Ooh.
really freaky, and I don't know how to properly process it. But anyway,
No.
so that's something I should have done this week. I also should have actually been at my house when they tried to deliver them, because I had to like go to the UPS store, and man, I'm happy that I have my new phone, but it was a bit of a
It
mess over the
it
weekend.
was a hassle.
A bit of a handful. So yeah. What about you? What do you wish you would have done this last couple weeks?
What do I wish I would have done this last 2 weeks? Let's start by saying that I wish I would have enjoyed the ocean a little bit more this last week. I wish I could have looked upon the shoreline as the waves roll in and out of the bay and see the dolphins jump along with the orcas, friends
I'm having a
to
hard
the end.
time picking up how serious you are about any of this right now.
I wish I would have done that. But what I did do was nothing. I wasn't near the ocean, even though I guess Tampa is technically near the ocean. It's
Like
near
you're way closer to the ocean than I am.
Tampa Bay. Did you know Tampa is the city, right? In in Tampa Bay is the area. I don't, did you know
I didn't know that. I,
that? Yeah, no,
that
I want to talk about that for a second.
this is uh, the podcast that gets into the dirty details about the metropolitan areas of Middle Florida. I don't know, what do they call that part of Florida?
The Central Florida.
Central Florida. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh, I was supposed to text Omar and tell him that we were streaming.
Does he
Um,
not have Twitter? Get on the Discord, Omar. Come on, let's make it happen.
but no,
Yeah,
what I really wish I would have done was watch some more shows, played some more video games, spent some more time with family. I would have liked to have done all those
yeah,
things.
those are all
Uh, but I,
good things.
but
But
I did do all of that in a
we
way.
we did some of it. We have things to talk about. We have media that we have consumed.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. Let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start off with that then. By the way, I apologize to anyone listening. Every once in a while, the mucose in my nose starts to want to come out. Um, that's
It
just
happens to the best of us, specifically me for the last like month. But yeah.
well, let's start with a show, or I should say movie, that just came out on Netflix this last week.
Okay.
It stars a good old comedian, Zach Galifianakis, and it's the Funny or Die presents Between Two Ferns, the
The
movie.
movie. I have been eagerly awaiting this film since the Monday prior to its release, because that's the day that Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, comes out, and the host of that podcast, Scott Ackerman, is
Right.
the director as well as writer and producer of this, as well as many of the other Between Two Ferns webisodes featured on Funny or Die. And that podcast had all of the central cast from this movie on last week. So Zach Galifianakis was on there, Lauren Lapkus, and the other main characters whose names I did not write down and do not know from memory.
No, no, no.
Um,
Matthew McConaughey. Just
no, not all the guest people. Like, but yeah, the other. I'm just gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
no.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but it's out on Netflix, and it is a full length film based on the hit web series Between Two Friends.
yeah. Did you watch the web series before, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, I I remember watching Funnier that show on Funny or Die was what is one of the ones that I kept going back to, including the one with Will Ferrell's daughter, uh, doing the police stuff, or Adam McKay's daughter, one of the two. And then they took that off. Uh, but just the just the idea of Zach Galifianakis as a host interviewing celebrities and just being such a huge dick to them.
So
Uh,
awful. Ryan Gall, I think Ryan Gall and Giovanni Liano are the other two main characters in this film.
okay, all right.
Got it out. I feel better. I feel it's a weight off my chest. Also, yeah, Peter Dinklage and Will Ferrell in there. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thank you, D Squeeze.
We will, we'll talk about all of those, all of the folks in there, all the special guests. But uh, this this is the movie came out, and I immediately was like, yeah, we should watch this. The Chelsea. We popped it into the figurative Netflix VCR.
Did you make it a blockbuster night?
Ooh, look at that! Where'd you get that shirt? 1994.
Yeah, at Target. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, my kids don't know what a blockbuster is, and it's awesome.
losers. Just kidding. Blockbuster is losers. They turned down Netflix. Look, we don't need to get in that. So we popped it in, and within the first 5 minutes, just cracking up as he talks to Matthew McConaughey, um, and so I laughed through the whole thing. There's the middle part. Obviously, have some drama, slow it down a little bit, but overall, just absolutely hilarious. What did you think about it?
I thought it was really good. I mean, it stayed true to the web series by having a lot of like he had to go capture 10 Between Two Ferns episodes, so it forced them to stick to that like talk show theme within the confines of the movie.
Yeah,
And I realize that it gets a challenge to take an idea like Between Two Ferns and stretch that out into a feature film. But I think they did a really good job, especially considering how much of the film itself is improvised, and I didn't know that until I had listened to that podcast. But they talked a lot about how they came up with a lot of ideas early on, but like Scott Ackerman was having to go back and like rewrite scenes and write throughout the entire production because they were coming up with ideas, and then like they would improvise a line and then go shoot a whole scene that sort of expanded on that line because of something that somebody improvised. So a very unique way of
yeah.
developing a film. And
Well,
yeah, I thought it was really funny.
that's kind of what they do throughout Comedy Bang Bang, right? Because
Yeah, Comedy Bang Bang is it's all about improv comedy for the most part. Usually there is one guest on the show who is like the deadpan, or not necessarily even deadpan, but like the the straight man,
Yeah.
and is an actual guest promoting a movie or some other thing that's going on. And then the other comedians that are on there will often improvise characters, but they don't break character normally. And so Scott Ackerman will interview these improvised characters, and hilarity ensues. And then they just do that week after week, and that's usually what I listen to on Mondays and Tuesdays. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's great. And it's when like Reno 911, Miami, or um, like what we do in the shadows. Some of well, what we do in the shadows isn't necessarily improv, but those types of movies where they take a lot of just improvised scenes and like, well, okay, well, let's actually just put this inside of a continuity and make an entire movie out of it. Um, you can tell when there's certain scenes where Zach Galifianakis is who's playing himself, right? He's not playing any different
yeah,
character. Is interacting with the celebrities outside of the the studio, and they're just talking. And some of those interactions are the clearest indication of improv to me. Like when he's talking to David Letterman on the grass, and then David Letterman, Zach Galifianakis is leaving, and David Letterman's like, "Yeah, make sure you're not walking on the grass."
but it's all grass. There's no
It's all grass,
that's everything great.
and Zach
Um,
down is like,
for some reason, and it's not like it's a new idea for a joke, but the way he butchered Benedict Cumberbatch's names, like over and over again, had me rolling.
yeah,
There's some great stuff in here. Huge stars throughout
Tyrone
the movie.
Lannister.
What's that?
Tyrone Lannister is what he called in like the little caption for their
Yep,
what
yep.
characters they are.
Yeah, lots of really good stuff. If you've watched Between Two Ferns at all, they're uh you'll probably like the film. But yeah, it's really enjoyable, and
Yeah.
kudos to them for go watch it soon, now that it's still fresh on Netflix, before they, I don't know, get it taken down or something. I don't know how Netflix works.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I just want to mention is there's a whole slew of cameos from other folks who are Comedy Bang Bang regulars,
Hmm.
or related tangentially. So like Paul F. Tompkins.
As the game show host, yeah,
Yeah.
and Don't Give Up, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Some Upright Citizen Brigade folks, Matt Besser and Will Hines was in there,
Hmm. Hmm.
who I've had on Submitted for Your Approval, coincidentally.
Oh,
Uh,
weird
like,
flex, but okay.
yeah, no, no. Like I saw he's at the end when Zach is in Will Ferrell's office, and like the assistant comes in with paperwork.
Yeah.
That's Will Hines. And I turned to Chelsea. I was like, I had him on the show. I had that guy on the show. Jesse. She's like, oh,
Just like,
good for you, Brandon. I didn't marry you for this shit. Okay, I married you for love. She
no,
didn't say that.
no,
She
she
would
didn't.
never say that.
She did not say that. Yeah, no, and make sure to stick around after the film for a hilarious blooper reel
Tell me,
with them breaking character, and oh geez, Brandon is stripping. That we're gonna get demonetized. We're gonna get demonetized now for the nip slip live on stream. Good job, Brandon,
my name's
exposing yourself to the
Jack.
world. God, it's I don't know. Here's the thing: is I don't know if you're cropped in enough. You may be too cropped in for the stream. You may have gotten away with it. You just might
Oh,
have gotten away with it.
oh, dang, yeah, yeah,
I'm like zoomed super far in. Like you can like, ooh, I might have to adjust that later. But
uh,
anyway, yeah, great movie. Watch the bloopers,
yeah.
and let us know what you think.
Let's know.
If you guys watch the film,
Come on back.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
we're on.
if you really like it, not that this podcast needs any advertising whatsoever, but Comedy Bang Bang is pretty good too. So, yeah, and now that let's see, the chat is weighing
Oh,
in. Yep, definitely
blowing
saw
up.
some top nipple, some bobs, some sneed bobs.
Is you know how like you know how there's like there's cleavage and then there's under cleavage or whatever that's called. Like if it's just like the top of a nipple, is that like is there a special term for that?
Uh, I don't know. I don't
Like
know if there's a term for that.
like if someone's like bathing suit is like it's almost it's not quite a nip slip because it's not all the way out, but
It's
there's
called a nip tip.
well that's the areola, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. If,
The
yeah, that's.
areola edge
I,
at at,
anyway,
at
uh,
Disney and Disney World.
yeah, opening this fall. Anyway, we watched something else. We actually watched an entire series to talk about, and this is on Amazon Prime. So if you do not pay for Amazon Prime, I'm sorry. Uh, what? You're missing out. Missing out. Yeah, it's called Undone, and this is a show that is an animated show that is done through the rotoscope style of animation. So they actually film the actors and then animate over them and manipulate the scenes using special effects and things like that. But you were actually pretty excited to watch this one, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Um, I I hadn't seen really anything about it when it first came out, and then I on over on the Twitter verse, I saw folks talking it up and saying they had finished it already. They binged the hell out of it just in one night,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, all right. So I actually watched the trailer, and I saw how kind of trippy it was, and I saw a GIF of an old woman dying, turning into a skeleton, dying, and coming back up into life, turning back into an old woman. That's really cool. Well, what is it actually about? You know my love of time travel movies, Travis. You know I
Yeah.
love
Of
that
course.
concept, and I was bought in. Also, I don't want to get his name wrong, but the creator of BoJack Horseman, Raphael Bob Waxberg, was the co-creator of the show, and you know how much I love BoJack Horseman.
Of course.
So with those two things in mind, had to give it a shot. Gave it a shot this weekend. Uh, Blazed through it in one afternoon and loved it.
Yeah, no, and you know where I'm gonna go with this, but this style of animation always
I didn't,
takes me back to.
I didn't want to jump you off. I didn't want to cut you off on there.
It always takes me back to the early 2000s, and Waking Life, which is another rotoscope film. But this Waking Life is all about like the dream world, and it's really more of a series of conversations about dreaming and different aspects of dreaming and about life and different things like that. And this is very similar to that film in a lot of ways, but definitely has more of a clear um, story arc that goes through it. The main character, uh, Alma Winograd Diaz, played by Rosa Salazar, she um, her dad dies when she's very young, and then she goes through a traumatic car accident, and then suddenly wakes up from this coma, seeing her dead dad, played by Bob Odenkirk, and he's explaining to her how she actually has this power to sort of separate herself from linear time and move throughout it. And then the show, over the course of 8 22-minute episodes, explores this concept as she tries to get better at doing that, and also trying to discover the true reasoning behind her father's death. So, very interesting story arc, and the idea of her moving through time and being able to manipulate it creates some really interesting ways to play with storytelling and sort of reveal things early on that make more sense as you continue watching. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and it ends in a way that continues to kind of leave things open for interpretation. Don't expect everything to be sewn up and have a pretty pink bow on it at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe that means a season two. I wouldn't expect that for a really long time, just due to the amount of time it takes to produce this sort of a series. But I think it works really well even just as a standalone miniseries over 8 episodes.
I agree. I agree. I really liked the but we'll get into spoiler territory here because you should keep watching it or start watching it, whatever. It they introduced this idea that, well, she's manipulating time, but her grandmother was a schizophrenic, and so there's this kind of overlaying theme of, if schizophrenia is this if she's schizophrenic, or if she's actually manipulating and shaping time. And I thought that was really good, a good kind of look at it. Also, there's, because it's uh, Raphael, BoJack Horseman guy. Um, there's a lot of kind of emotional themes, and themes about being broken, and uh, emotions, and how to handle life, which I feel like I handle life all right, but it still hits me in certain feels. Um,
Yeah.
and I want to say this. It just occurred to me. There's an episode of the most recent season of BoJack Horseman that just friggin' kills me, and it's about his BoJack's mom, who's kind of like suffering from Alzheimer's a little bit, and like there's that episode, can't talk about it anymore. It's give me right in the feels. But
Yeah.
there's lots of feels in this show. It's really, really good. I recommend it. And everyone's been talking about A Scanner Darkly in the chat. That's the Keanu Reeves movie. So if you don't know what rotoscoping is, look at A Scanner Darkly. That's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, that's the other option, I suppose, if you want to, go with that one. Also a cool movie. Yeah, I the schizophrenia like elements in Undone were really interesting. It kind of leaves you second guessing everything that's happening a lot, because as you continue to watch with the schizophrenia running through the main character's family, you're like, is she even really doing all the stuff that you're seeing? And um, I I don't know. I really like it. I like that. I don't feel like we got a clear answer by the end of it as to whether or not any of it was real or not. And I think that's cool. I think that's cool. But yeah, it's good. I just enjoyed it. Please write more.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. No, I dug it. I recommend it highly. Everyone should go give it a go pirate it, go steal it in whichever way you want.
Go give Amazon all your money. I don't know,
Murder
but
somebody. I don't care. Steal um First National Bank's loan department paper slips.
we're not advocating theft necessarily.
That
But it's good. Good show, and Amazon is doing a lot of good things. One other thing that's on Amazon that I've never watched is Fleabag. Have you heard about this show, Fleabag?
I've heard of Fleabag. Did it win an Emmy?
No, it won like all the Emmys.
So it
Um,
didn't win an Emmy.
it won, uh, it won like best actress in like a comedy, and then also won for writing and won for like best comedy or something too. So beating out some big name shows, and I had never seen it, nor I think heard of the show.
Yeah.
But it's definitely on my queue to watch now. Um, it, Mostly because it won Emmys, but also because I realized some other people have recommended it and like in their Instagram stories and stuff like that. And I didn't know what it was, but now I do. Now I do. Thanks to the Emmys, the Emmy Awards, which are super meaningful and in no way an outdated source of recognizing television accomplishments.
That's right. Now, I didn't want to talk about the Emmys. You know that you said, "Oh, we could talk about Emmys tonight." And I said, "I could not care less about the Emmys." And then you're like, "Well, we could talk, well, it's an outdated award system and there's just so much good television out there nowadays." I said, "Okay, well, we could talk about
Okay, we can talk about it. Yeah, now I care. I care
that."
now.
I care now. But what you did right there is you gave a reason why the Emmys in some way are can still be relevant.
Yes, but at the same time, like the show that we talked about through good and bad, Game of Thrones in its final season with some epic storytelling and epic production, walked away with little, if not any, Emmy awards this year. And to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, Game of Thrones in its like eighth season, and it's been around for a decade, and maybe like it's just kind of like it's over, and does that warrant that it gets like that last sweep of Emmys, or is it like, okay, we recognize it was good, it won Emmys throughout its
Moving
run,
on.
and now is it time to recognize something else? And as you like,
Showrunners left early. We're leaving early
we're
too.
hitting the after parties, we're done. Let's get out of here. Come on, George R. R. And Game of Thrones did win something. It won something big, but yeah, I don't know. I certain categories they were like, all right, best drama or whatever, and like every show you're just like, wow, that's a really good show. That's a really good show. And again, most of it now is on like HBO,
Amazon.
Netflix, Amazon, where the ideas of traditional television have kind of faded away, and everything's on a streaming platform or like high budget stuff, which is great, and I'm for that. But like, I don't know. I guess it's the only thing that still exists to recognize that level of like production value, and because we're not giving out Oscars for TV dramas, so I,
Well, you know
it
what?
almost makes me wonder if the Emmys are more like important now in terms of like recognizing achievement in television.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't watched the Emmys maybe ever. Maybe like I caught like piece of it, watched a little bit of it, uh, and then I hear like, oh, Rick and Morty won an Emmy for Pickle Rick. Cool, you know, those are the things that are relevant to me from the Emmys nowadays.
Right.
Um, but there's so much stuff out there. Netflix pushing out content constantly. Amazon, Hulu pushing content out constantly. Uh, even other streaming services like Shutter is about to for this is a shout out to Shutter who doesn't listen or pay attention to this podcast, but Creepshow the series is starting on Shutter on the 26th of September, which I will be on. No, I won't be on, but I will be on top of. Rob Schraub directed an episode called Bad Wolf Down, which is a werewolf thing. Anyways, what I'm saying is there's a bunch of other streaming services that will need to be recognized. Disney Plus coming out, right?
I've already signed up.
Mandalorian, yeah, the pre-order stuff just released. Uh, I I think that the Emmys is 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 not fully prepared for the influx of content, and I think because of how much stuff is out there, they're they're not capturing everything that maybe deserves it. They're capturing like the prestige of the streaming services right now.
Yeah,
Like what we do in the shadows is a fucking perfect show. Not.
not even mentioned, right? And so I think it is interesting because like the same could be said for cinema, where there are a lot of great movies that go completely unmentioned every year for Oscar nominations, but it is just really weird to look at the television landscape and look at what great shows are out there and continue to not only really perform but like pull in a lot of a huge fan base. Sire Dark talking in the chat asking about Stranger Things and whether or not it got any Emmys or anything. I think I might have seen it nominated for something, but I don't remember it winning anything. And that was like the most streamed show in like history or something, where it got the most views in a weekend period of any show ever to be released on Netflix or any other platform for that matter. But yeah, it's just really interesting how much good content is out there, and I don't know how, you know, Emmys or
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, obviously not like smaller award shows like Streamies and stuff like that. That those are never going to capture the content either. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So old Matt
old
Size,
Matty O.
he says in the stream, "Okay, so tell me this, hot shots. Why was there such an uproar for a streaming service winning an Oscar while Netflix and Amazon sweep the Emmys and no one bats an eye?" Well, I can tell you, from my perspective, the Oscars captures, I don't know, like,
I have a thought on it,
okay,
and the thought is traditionally television viewing is done in the home, right? It's all about direct to your house content, often, serialized content that's in multiple episodes. That to me is sort of what defines television now. And so for movies produced by Netflix or Amazon that did not get theatrical releases and were just released straight to your cell phone or your streaming device and never actually got butts in seats at a theater, I think that creates more controversy than television that is direct to a streaming platform,
I I
because the definitions of television itself are more fluid now.
I think that as someone who went, studying cinema for just a little bit, to work on a master's in film studies, uh, film is a much more pretentious and kind of, uh, academic activity, and people make film to be experienced in a theater,
Like
in
Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Between Two Ferns movie, in IMAX, Christopher Nolan coming out with movies in IMAX because it's art, right? James Cameron, art, even though he's producing the new Terminator movie, which I can't wait to see. People who make film want to make art, whereas television is still kind of this. There's really good television. There's prestige television, of course, but there's that distance. So if you're watching a film on Netflix to that to the film elite, that isn't filmmaking. That's that's extended television making.
That's just streaming content. Yeah,
Right.
no, but that I don't think that's fair to the amazing films that have been produced for streaming content. And I think it just opens up the bigger question about how media companies will continue to get attention and stay relevant as more streaming platforms come online, as more options are available for people, as more streaming platforms come out. I feel like people are going to be more selective about which ones they choose to be a part of. Disney Plus coming out is like a must buy for my family because of the things we're interested in and the things that we want to see. But that really brings certain things into question as far as other streaming platforms and whether or not they are as necessary. I feel like Netflix will continue to be really relevant for a while. They're sort of the first in the biz and the ones that have really, they still have a lot of good stuff going for them. But I don't know, like HBO's straight to subscription service is like $15 a month, and while they have amazing content on there, I mean, Thrones is gone. I could get two streaming services for probably what I pay for HBO on a monthly
Yeah.
basis. So
They got Secession. They got
Ballers, I've never watched an episode of Ballers. Uh,
uh
but last week tonight with John Oliver, took home more Emmys last night and is a terrific like comedy news program, and that's a show I'll miss. I'll have to just watch the clips that they upload to YouTube, and that'll be it for me.
that'll be it. That'll be it, Travis. That'll do.
That'll
Um,
do,
yeah.
Trav. That'll do.
Matt makes one last point, and I want to mention this just because it's pertinent. His theory is that studios are threatened by the idea that a built-for-home viewing service could make something comparable to something that studios put tens of millions of dollars of production into. I don't disagree that that is in the background, but I don't know if the studios themselves run the Oscars because there's still voting that goes on with folks behind the scenes. Um, I yeah, I mean, I think that that ties in into more of how uh, theater attendance is down and um, and how that those businesses models change with like a what AMC A list and Movie Pass and how they're trying to get around getting attendance back up. But
Yeah,
hey, Avengers Endgame made a shit ton of money, so it might not be doing too bad.
it did. It did. But then it was like on like I don't know. Can you already stream that movie? I feel like you can. I know. I'm pretty sure it'll be available on Disney Plus. But
Possible. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, probably, yeah, because Home, the Spider-Man one just is out now, I think.
yeah.
On
Well, yeah, that one you can pay to buy or whatever. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm really we're not quite there yet, but I feel like the cable industry is going to continue to struggle as all of these streaming services continue to outperform and build better content than they're able to deliver. And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting time to I don't know, be a fan of content. So
yeah.
speaking of being a fan of content, what happens when you get out of your house and go see something live, Brandon? Tell me all
Oh,
about it.
oh my God. Oh, what a segue. Let's segue into Brandon's Music Minute.
It's the wrong show, Brandon. It's the wrong show.
Let's talk about music. Let's talk about going to concerts. Let's go talk about going to shows, punk rock shows. Last week I went to see Bad Religion. Oh my God. Last time I saw them was like 2005 at the Warped Tour in Dallas, Texas. And I was so glad to see them again. Um, I bought tickets. The show was on Wednesday night. I bought tickets probably Monday night because Chelsea came back into town. She's like, "Are you gonna see Bad Religion?" Like, everybody canceled on me." She's like, "So you're not gonna go?" Uh, yeah, I guess I'll go by myself.
Yeah.
And all the whole while driving to St. Petersburg, where the concert was, I was like, I could turn around at any moment and be fine with this.
I'm under no obligation to go to this. I'm not gonna hurt anyone's feelings if I don't show up to this event. Yeah.
Not good. I parked, I walked to the venue, Janice Live, and walking all the way up, I was like, I could turn around and still go home. I get inside the venue, it says, "No return if you leave." I said, if I leave, that'll be fine." And the doors open at 7, and I thought in my head, "Okay, well, I can leave at, like, 6:30 because the opening act will have started already by the time I get there, like, and I get there at 7:45, and then, Bad Rooms will start, I'll be good." So I learned my lesson and know that doors open at 7, but the opening band doesn't open till they actually start till 8.
Oof.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so I'm so codependent, and I don't do well in crowds by myself, and so I make sure my back is to a wall, to minimize the people who are looking at me and judging me being by myself at this place. And I know they're not. I mean, they probably are, but it doesn't matter because I don't know them and I'll never talk to them. But I just feel the eyes. It's just burning. It just burns. So I get a beer, a large beer, and I just sip on it, and I finish it. I'm like, "Ah, that was too fast. I've been sipping on that too fast." Um, and then I bought a
So
shirt.
far, this sounds like the best concert ever. Best concert.
Eventually the band that was on, Maggie and the Murder Police, they were pretty good. I waited in line and got the shirt for most of it. Then Bad Religion came out, and they were awesome. And thankfully, by that point in time, I had more than, 2 beers, and I wasn't feeling too bad, and I was talking to old Matt Sizemode on
Old size mode.
on the telephone, and every time a new song came out, I texted him and I was like, "It's this song. Oh, it's New Dark Ages. Oh, it's Modern Man. I don't know what this song is, but it says this quote in it." And it was just it was so badass with Greg Graffin. He's up on stage and he's just like he's an old man now, a professor at UCLA, and he's just on stage singing and like pointing to people, and he's just doing like old man um, segues. He's like doing our segues for like when we do shows,
Yeah, yeah.
we do these podcasts. Where it's like, hey, speaking of not wanting things, let's talk about how we're infected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Stuff
right.
like so it was a blast, and, um, I'm so glad I went because I hadn't seen them in so long, and I can say that I actually saw a complete set from them, and, I came home, and the entire weekend, I realized these guys have been making music for over 40 years, and I picked up my guitar, I started playing guitar again, I set up my electronic drums, I started playing those again, and just realized I don't have to be good at any of this, but
Yeah.
it's fun to do.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And then you gave me a hard time about planning to do something by myself at Disney World as well, because, and you called us both loners. Um, yeah, I made dining reservations for one to Oga's Cantina in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge because there was no reservations for five, and so I checked with my wife, and she approved that I can break off from the family to go drink space drinks in the cantina at Disneyland or at Disney World. So that'll be fun. Hey, Bunny Steel Stephanie, thank you for following us on Twitch. Appreciate you doing
Yay,
that.
alright.
Yeah, we have only one other sort of segment to discuss for this episode, and that is a bit of a recap from our most recent session of Dungeons and Dragons, the
Hey,
fantasy role playing game. If you're following us on Twitch or YouTube, you know that we have our game nights. We're trying to have them frequently. Unfortunately, our party is having some scheduling issues. So make sure that you are following or subscribed to your channel of choice if you want to catch when we're playing those role playing games. They will be on Friday nights, but those Friday nights will vary over the next couple months due to traveling and other commitments. But yeah, we finally got to play our second session just a few days ago. Brandon as our DM, setting the stage for the Desert of Orayu. Do I pronounce that right?
yeah, Orayu, that's fine. Orayu. It doesn't really matter
In
to me
in
what place.
Junder's Crossing, I believe,
Jun
is the city that we have been.
Junders, Junders.
Junder's,
It's named after
Junders.
Bill Junder. I just made that part that's canon now. Bill
Oh,
Junder.
I'm gonna write that in my notes. I'm gonna have an upper hand on the rest of the people that don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. So the last time we did a session was about, almost a month ago, maybe a month ago, and it was that session I thought went well, that first session, And then because we had such a break, everybody forgot everything. And and I I went on a business trip, and on the plane, I took some notes, and I did some stuff initially. But then I forgot. So then 3 weeks later, prepping for the session, I'm like, "Oh, crap. How did the last session end?" I knew generally that the adventurers, saved, they found this shipment that was stolen, and then the innkeeper said, "Hey, I'll hook you up with the mayor who can give you some more information about stuff around town." Uh, well, I knew those things, but I didn't remember the names of those characters or the kind of conversations they had before or any of the extra kind of flavor stuff that the Travis and John and Kevin asked about during the campaign. So I
Right.
went back on YouTube where we still have that first session, and I just kind of skipped through. Like, okay, all right, make a note of that. Okay, make a note of that. All right, got it, got it, got it. Let's put that on the side if I don't use that, whatever. And I was still kind of unorganized with, "Oh, how what am I setting up for this session?" And you, Travis, had mentioned, Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master
Yep.
guide at one point in time, which I used for the initial world building homebrew of the campaign overall. And I realized, "Oh, you know what? What I can do is there's this, 7 steps for setting up a session, and it's you're reviewing your characters, strong opening, amazing settings, monsters, secrets, stuff like that. And well, you know what? Why don't I just start using this for each session? Make a template, and anytime I'm preparing for a next session, I'll use this as a guide for it. And that got me into organizing this last session, which I hope went well. I hope you guys actually liked.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I feel like those tools that you're using are really helping to build a story that's pretty interesting, and there were twists and things in our last session that I wasn't expecting that I thought were really fun. There. In our first session, there are two guys that show up and murder each other, and in this last session, we were trying to locate those bodies to try and figure out if we could get any more clues about who they were or why they were there. And all the way to the point of opening the door where those bodies were waiting for an autopsy, I fully anticipated that I was going to go in and perform some sort of autopsy or investigation on a couple of corpses. And sure enough, we roll in there and they're undead and they attack us and they're drawn to these stones that they dropped that our party has picked up one per person. And yeah, I thought that was a great twist, and not I was not expecting to get into combat. I was like actually planning out how I was gonna like kind of role play this like autopsy and sort of try to do it in a fun way.
Huh.
And then it was a sudden shift. I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna combat. Okay, let me fire bolts all over this place, and and then put out the fire haphazardly as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to say, so after the first session, John and I had talked, and he had made mention that I it felt like it was pushing you away from those characters, and in a way I was initially. I was pushing away from it because I this is a dumb thing, but you guys saw 2 men murder each other, drop stones that each of you picked up, and then you guys had a collective vision together. And why I didn't plan for, yeah, of course you'd be interested in why these guys have the stone and to try to figure that out. Of course you'd wanna do that. And so in a way, I was pushing you away in session 1 from searching that out. Uh, and I then I started at that moment to like, okay, I'm buying myself some time. Now let's incorporate them back in.
There you go. Yeah.
And that was part of what I did on the plane was like, okay, these guys need to have a backstory. Let's bring that backstory in. It makes sense that the mayor would know where these guys are. He would be the access point for that. Okay, I need them to talk to the mayor anyway, so let's bring him. Let's use that as the kind of the gateway to that. Because that
Yeah.
mayor always had the quest with for Maggie. I realized, oh, okay, you guys want to know about the bodies. Go to the bodies. He'll tell you about Maggie on the way, and then have you just happen across her her task.
Happen across poor Maggie, attacked by the jackal people, brutally murdered, and potentially spying on the mayor of the town,
Oh,
uh,
Pancho.
old Pancho. For what were the other towns?
Uh, at Sandalville and Clargo.
Sandalville and Clargo. I wrote it down. I just couldn't find it in my notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's I my character is very into mystery, and it says in my character sheet that like I'm always looking for like a good like mystery to solve, or like interested in more information about things. And I feel like you're doing a great job of creating environments that really give me space to utilize that aspect of my character and ask a lot of questions and try and look for clues. And whether you're doing that intentionally or not, it's going really well for me. And yeah, the one thing I'm sort of learning as a player and not as a DM is just continuing to focus in on who my character is and build depth into the character instead of sort of that only surface level examination of an NPC
Yeah.
that you're stuck with as a DM because you have so many things to manage that you can't get like too deep in any one character.
In a way, being a DM and doing NPCs is almost like Reese Darby in Jumanji: Into the Jungle, where he's the guy from Flight of the Conchords, who's like, "Welcome to Jumanji," and then he just repeats his lines. He's like he has personality, but it's just its point is to just get you going on your quest,
Right.
however it is.
Yeah.
Um, in that's the opposite from your character where you're like you start off a new campaign, you don't really know who your guy is yet. And then as you go, that's when you start fleshing out, okay, this is kind of what he does in his personality. Usually John and I end up being like, okay, well, let's just go back to who we are normally and that's just trolling
You
people.
just revert to being silly all the time.
Yeah, we try so hard when we start. But I mean, yeah, it is different. What is the challenge for you in that?
Nothing. I think it's just. I mean, it's challenges that I have. One is, I think as a DM, there were certain characters that I knew we were never coming back to, so I could just sort of freely improvise them and then throw it away. So like if we're in a village or something and you're talking to a farmer and I know that any of the backstory or things that I'm telling you are not going to be pertinent within a session or two, like I'll take loose notes, but not like a lot of that is just okay. This is just to kind of fill the space and allow you guys an opportunity to interact within it, and then we're gonna move on.
Right.
Whereas like I feel like I need to get much better at note taking and capturing things that I've done as a character so that I don't contradict myself later on, or so I
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah.
do something um that is completely opposite of who my character is. And so far I feel like I'm
Like, I
doing
don't eat
okay at
cake, I
that.
don't eat cake, I don't eat cake, I don't eat cake, I don't eat cake. Yeah,
Ooh,
I'll have some cake.
yeah, cake sounds good.
Like,
Yeah.
"No, what? No!"
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the other really kind of interesting thing for me is I built a character who is very focused in archaeology and getting into like exploring ancient cultures and
Mhm.
finding relics and things like that. And I kind of structured my spell book around that aspect of my character. So while we're like in towns and like just and interacting with some unexpected encounters and fights and things like that, um, most of the stuff that I've kind of baked into the character is not as useful right now. I've found some interesting ways to use things, but it's and so I think finding ways to use my spell book within the scenario that I find us in is has also been a fun challenge. And I have to learn how to level my guy up for the first time before our next session
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never done that either.
One of the things I wanted to do and want to do, I need to make sure I do more of, is look at each of your character sheets and identify some of those kind of unique things that you have and incorporate them into some aspect of the campaign somewhere here and there.
Yeah,
And that was kind of the idea with the stones initially. Was you I wanted to kick it off with, hey, magic relics exist in this place, and you have them right away,
yeah,
where and each one of them is unique in some way, shape, or form that you will end up needing at some point in time. I don't know what that maybe I know what those are, maybe I don't know what those are yet, but that's why I have those there. And maybe D Squeeze asked about Caliban, whether or not Caliban knows what his ability is yet with that stone. I don't know the answer, but I have an idea of what I want him to do with it. So
so I'm that's interesting, and this is a bit of a metagame aspect, but does John really not know what his stone does?
no, I mean he knows
Okay,
it's a tooltip for everybody.
okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like yours. So for those listening, we use Roll20. I created a handout for each stone that exists, and I made it so each stone can only be seen by Travis or by John or by Kevin. So John has one, so John knows what it does, but John, I don't know if his character really knows what it is or not yet.
he hasn't he hasn't played that his character he hasn't shared with us that his character knows what it is. So
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah,
Um,
which is an
yeah,
interesting choice for him and a very much a John choice as well, and I
yeah.
appreciate it.
I I would almost say that, I don't know if his character knows what the ability does yet, but what I will say is that his character hasn't been able to demonstrate it.
Fact,
There
fact,
there's
fact, fact.
there's not been a situation where his character has been able to demonstrate it.
Yeah. So when do we play again?
Hmm, hmm. Oh, another month, probably.
Ooh, I thought we had another game in the next week or two.
Is it, probably next week, I think next week. That might be the earliest we can do. I mean, we can do Friday, I guess. um, do 2 weeks in a row here, but then we basically have a month off till the 4th.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean it is what it is, kids.
Mhm.
Um, eh, but hopefully, if you have been watching, whether you're watching live or heading back to the respective channels to check those out, love to know what you think. Hopefully, you are enjoying the sessions. If you want to catch those, we have not released them and do not intend to release them as audio only podcasts. So you're going to have to go over to twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm or subscribe on YouTube so we can get
Oh,
that sweet URL
sweet.
for now. Just search Apathetic Enthusiasm over on YouTube. Follow us over there so that you can catch these campaigns that we
And more.
and more.
And just talking about the campaigns. And
Yeah,
also Rick and Morty.
yeah. Rick and Morty's coming up quick. It's coming up real quick. So yeah, make sure that you're all set for those as well. Anything else? Anything else you want to cover before we head out? Anybody in the chat have any topics that you think we should discuss? I mean, this is the benefit of crowdsourcing our podcast now, is you guys can share with us anything that's going
I
on if
don't
you
I
want to.
don't think they have anything. They don't have anything. Oh, I do wanna say this about you mentioned surprise going to the zombie thing. I I thought you were gonna say about the jackals, the jackalware as they call them.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, those
uh,
were cool too. I didn't expect them to change into enemies.
John was like, I I didn't know those guys were gonna turn into enemies, and I thought I was just gonna be. I thought I. He said that he was like, oh, I guess these NPCs are gonna help us fight this extra powerful dog, and like, cool. I got kind of the reaction I was hoping for from that.
That was
Uh,
my initial reaction as well, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that you guys would have gotten a little bit closer. This is a hope in my head, obviously. And then my idea was like to have them kind of like back up behind you and be like, "Oh, let's get him." And then when combat started, then they would turn and then ambush you from behind.
Hmm.
Um, well, John shot with a crossbow right away with a dog, and then I couldn't justify having these two Jackalware men not not fight not fight against John. I couldn't justify them be like, "No, let's watch our friend get killed."
Well, were they? Uh, I mean,
Like, they
they you could have sort of spun it where they're like, oh, you're here to help, and they kind of run up behind, like cowering behind John or something like that, and
yeah,
then do that for a couple of turns, and then have them swap or whatever. I mean, that's me, hindsight
yeah,
2020ing, but yeah,
yeah.
that's an option. Like
Well,
I don't feel like as soon as combat starts, they have to reveal who they are. I think I had a session at one point where I think it was when you guys were fighting the rock monster, that it it started fighting individually, and there was a second pile of rocks that eventually turned into a second rock monster that was like immediately dispatched. You guys like killed it right away. But
door
yeah,
gate.
it was something that, or the gate. Anyway, we won't dig all that stuff up.
Uh, Dig all it's rocks. Yeah, no, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I as the way the situation played out, it just felt it felt like it wouldn't be a natural thing for me to have them because they had their swords drawn at the jackal
Yeah,
already,
yeah,
well, in the direction, right? Uh, so to keep that illusion that they were kind of already prepared to attack the dog, I was keeping it at that. Plus, Kevin, let me just say this this other thing. Kevin as the bird person, the bird Barbarian, he that flying shit, I'm like, "Ah, god, now I have to adjust everything." I don't have to adjust everything, but I have to keep that in mind when I'm building encounters, because he's done that twice in a row now where he's like, "No, I'm gonna scout with as I fly over."
yeah.
Uh,
Well, and one of the things is once you get us into like a dungeon or something, that's gonna limit his flying because if you have low enough ceilings, he'll just be kind of hovering, like he's you know. Now, when I bust out my Misty Step spell, that's a whole different story. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But that's why I gave him just a guy plowing some lady in the alley. That's, uh,
yeah, yeah. That is
like,
a
"You wanna
thing.
fly all the time? You're gonna see some shit, buddy."
well, tremendous job on our latest session, and I look forward very much to seeing what events take place north of Junder's Crossing. Hopefully, in an upcoming scenario and an upcoming I don't know game. But yeah, that's it. That's D&D stuff. That's D&D talk.
Indeed.
Uh, thank you. And that's all of our topics. That's
That
that's
is it.
pretty much all we have prepared in our show notes. So I will say thank you to everyone who has watched and participated live as we record this episode. It is super awesome to see a bit of a community growing in the chat and talking about the topics we discuss, as well with each other as well as with us throughout the episode. So thank you to you guys, and also thank you to the people that continue to download and listen on podcatchers, wherever they are, whether they're driving or listening at home during a relaxing bath, whatever it may be. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't done so, please subscribe, rate, review this podcast. Let people know what you like about it. Let us know what you like about it, what you don't like. And yeah, that's pretty much it for us this week. Brandon, any parting words?
I thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our lives with words and emotion that you send through the wires, through the ether, through the Ethernet, if you are doing that, or copper, if
Yeah,
you
or Wi-Fi, through the
or
Wi-Fi.
or fiber. You know,
Yeah.
fiber optics is a thing. Getting back into the IT. Look, let's not brick this. Nerd, 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 nerd. Anyways, thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Alex R hits us with a last minute Link's Awakening remake topic suggestion. So if you want to hear us discuss that, make sure you head over to Twitch or YouTube because that is going to be post show content. Yeah, go make sure you do that. That's it for the audio version of this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, I'm Travis.
Hey, I'm Brandon.
Bye.
See you later.
All right. It's just me, you, and Twitch makes 3.
YouTube makes 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. This is the part of the show that is the post show where we just hang out and render our audio and talk to you while we do so. So Alex, talking about Link's Awakening remake, I have not purchased it. It is on my short list of Switch games that I would very much like to play. I might have told my significant other that if she wanted to get me a Switch Lite, which just came out last week,
What?
and Link's Awakening, I would not be unhappy to receive that under the Christmas tree. What is a Switch Lite? Is that the question you're asking right now? Are you not aware of this device?
I did not know about this device.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, it is. A Switch Lite dedicated to handheld play.
Yeah, so I mean, no Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons are permanently attached, and it's got I think a smaller screen, but
I am so out of touch. I didn't know that this was coming out.
yeah, I 3 colors. You can get it in like blue, teal, or gray. But yeah, it's pretty cool if you don't want to hook up your Switch to a TV. If you strictly want to use it for mobile gaming, it's a good option because it's like $100 less than a Switch. So, yeah, and I don't have to worry about.
You still connected to a TV?
No, you cannot. It is strictly mobile.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So, but the reality is, I have a Switch that I can connect to a TV. You can still connect it with like other Switches and do like switch to switch type multiplayer. But yeah, it's realistically that device for me is something I would only use while traveling. So or when I'm like wanting to play at home, but typically I do that like not on the TV because kids are watching something or whatever. So.
Yeah. No, that is really cool. If I traveled a lot more, I think that would definitely something I would get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
What about Link's Awakening? Are you even tracking this game at all?
yeah, back in the 90s.
Ayo.
No, I, I this is unpopular opinion time coming. I'm not that intrigued by playing that version. It doesn't look that.
Did you play the original
I
on like
I
Game
did.
Boy or Game Boy Advance? So I didn't. So
Oh,
maybe that's why I'm more intrigued by it.
no, I always think of A Link in Time. I'm stupid.
Okay. All
We've
right.
had this conversation. I think we had this conversation last time.
Probably on another podcast.
Uh,
I keep kicking my desk and shaking my Camera. Oh,
So
it's an
so
earthquake here.
ah, no, no, no. Maybe that's why wasn't excited about it. Maybe I will play it now because I know what it is again.
Yeah. And then it also has some sort of like game mode that lets you like rearrange dungeons. Um, and I talked to a guy at work today who said if that is the reason why you're getting this game, don't. Because apparently it's just when you clear like one of the 7 dungeons or whatever,
Yeah.
you get each room of the dungeon as like a tile in your bag, and then you can go back and just basically rearrange those rooms. But he said it's very much not like a Mario Maker esque aspect to Zelda, which is sort of what I was hoping it was, and that was a little upsetting, and also makes me really want them to make a Mario Maker style game for Zelda because building your own like Zelda dungeons and stuff like that, I feel would be pretty awesome and a lot of fun if they put a bunch of traps and different mechanics in there and let you just go ham.
That ties into your need to build dungeons for people, a la Minecraft.
Yeah, that's 100% my wheelhouse. You got me. You got me, brother.
Did you ever play oh shit, what was that game where you're like the devil and you create a basically a dungeon for people? Ah,
No.
it was a PC game back in the day. Oh boy. If you're in stream, let me know. Let me know what the name of it was. Um, like not Dungeon Keeper, Dungeon Master, Monster.
Monster
Um,
Masher.
Mario Maker 2 is out. I wish that was multiplayer where I could actually, you know, pick who I want to play multiplayer with.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. I didn't mention this. You asked me about playing big games, and I was like, oh, I haven't played any games really, which was a lie. Last week, I with Game Pass, I picked up Dead Cells,
Okay.
and I was hesitant to pick up Dead Cells for a long time because it didn't look that interesting, and I'm like, "Ah, I'm bored. And I'm not doing anything else. My family's doing stuff, and they want to hang out with me. Let me play video games." And I picked up Dead Cells. I started playing it, and it's a rogue type game. So if you ever played Rogue Legacy, you know what I'm talking about. It's every run you do, you end up dying and you start over again. And eventually, you build up skills over time and abilities, and you do a lot of grinding. And you get better at the game as you move on. But Dead Cells is like that, and it's a really good game. And I it just devoted so much time. I plunged so many hours into this game. And what I found is it's a really good game. I'll say that you'll enjoy it if you play it. Uh, at some point in time, I was so addicted to it, and then I got to a point and I lost. I got killed by a monster, and instantly a switch was turned off, and I'm like, "Ah, I'm done."
Ah, that's
Like
enough.
I wasn't
All right.
frustrated with it. I was just like, I hit a switch. Like, all right, that was good. I don't have to play this ever again.
Yeah.
It was just like that. It's so hard to explain. It was just so sudden, so abrupt, where I
I got my new iPhone finally working, and one of the new features that Apple has started is I think they call it Apple Arcade, and it's through the App Store on iOS devices. But this is their it's not game streaming, but it's basically like your Game Pass for your Xbox, but for mobile gaming. So their arcade has a ton of games in it that are only available through Apple Arcade, as well as some other titles that are not exclusives. But you pay, I want to say it's like $5 or $5 or $6 a month, and then you have unlimited access to all of the games that are in there for as long or as short as you want to play them. You can download them, you can delete them, you can do whatever. I downloaded Oceanhorn 2, which is sort of like an exploration, sort of Legends of Zelda type game. with
Yeah.
some pretty sweet graphics. I grabbed that one just to kind of test out the power of the new iPhone. And then I also got a game that I have not even launched yet, but it's called. Let me see if I can find it. This is great television. It's something cards. It's a card based game, but it's like an exploration type game where you have a deck of cards and you use the deck of cards to move in around an environment, and then like you can create bridges, you can create stairs and stuff. So it kind of reminds me of that. Geez,
That
I'm
is it like that turtle programming game? Like,
no. There are some games in here that kind of look like that though, but I wish I could find it. I could just open the dang game. That would be an option too.
um, y-
Apple
the
Apple
just
Arcade.
for those listening that are watching and didn't see me post it, Travis, the game that I was thinking of was named Dungeon Keeper, and
Dungeon Keeper.
yeah,
Oh, with a link and everything. Good
yeah.
job.
So you're it's on good old games .com, but it was you were like a bad guy, and you were making a dungeon for heroes that come through and and try to survive.
That sounds really familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
It's like
these. Look at these graphics, bro.
Boss Monster. There's a game called Boss. Ooh, that's good. Boss Monster card game. It's good. You build dungeons to keep heroes out.
Yeah.
Alex R asks, "Have you tried the board game Go?" No. Is that the movie with Sarah Pauli? And you
I played Go back in high school, a little bit after high school. I had really smart friends, people that were smarter than me, and they played Go for a while. Um, I played Go. Yeah, it's interesting game. It's good. Um, Makes me think of Othello, which is easier to get into, I
oh
think. But
yeah, that was
yeah.
good.
But yeah, so anyway, Apple Arcade. I'm in the free trial. I already set a reminder in my phone for the day before the free trial ends for me to cancel it. But I am curious to see how that sort of platform can work as far as like game subscription service on a mobile device,
Yeah.
and the games seem a little bit higher quality, where like normally I wouldn't want to spend 10, 15 bucks on a phone game, but I think a lot of these games would probably retail for that if
Yeah.
they were sold individually. So
Let's see. Have you guys tried Uno?
see
See, see.
see senor.
Uh, uh, everyone, I had two people respond to Go being a great soundtrack for a movie, which thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only person who remembers that movie. Also starring young Timothy Oliphant. Just throwing that name out there. Uh, I have that movie on VHS still. If you want to borrow it, Travis.
I do not have a VCR.
I have a Blu-ray DVR combo.
That's solid. That's a solid
You know
choice.
how long it took me a long time ago, 2011 probably. Chelsea was like, "If you want a Blu-ray player, it has to have a VCR attached to it." I'm like, "I'll see what I
All
can
right.
do."
I wonder if like I'm sure there's like pawn shops and places where you can get a VCR still, but I'd be willing to bet that if you had to like buy a VCR off Amazon, this thing's probably expensive now because
Let's
it's like
let's test that
dated hardware, right? Like
let's test that theory out. I'm heading to Amazon.com. Oh, look, recently viewed a costume of Fry from Futurama for Halloween.
nice. Is that for you or for your son?
That's gonna be for me. Chelsea will be Leela. Dexter wants to be, who does he wanna be? Bender, I guess?
Nice.
Uh,
That's amazing. And
Chelsea was like,
you guys always
Brannigan?
have
Like,
great like family coordinated costumes too.
I was like, "Don't be Zap. Don't let him be Zap Brannigan." You know what the implication of that is?
That's awful. Yeah, bad choice. Uh, Caleb wants to be Steven Universe, and we got a sweet part of that costume the other day at the Spirit Halloween store. Not a sponsor, but he wants me to be Greg Universe, which is Steven's dad. Who, if you've never seen Steven Universe, it's not the most flattering costume. Uh, but I totally feel like I could pull it off. Let me look him up real quick.
Dude, man, VCR is $100. Why is a VCR $100 at this in this day and age?
Right? That's Greg Universe right there.
You, it almost looks like fat Thor.
So yeah, if I could get a wig and like cut the top of it off and just have like the long hair just around back here, maybe a goatee, I could totally pull off Greg Universe. Get some like fake tan just on like my hands and feet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you
Uh,
go. Coming this October to
coming this October.
a street around Omaha.
This October. Let me tell you my plight here about Halloween. This is the first year. I think this is the first, maybe the first year in at least 10 years where I've been invited to a Halloween party.
Okay.
No shit, a Halloween party where you actually dress up and go party. Um, and this year, I've been invited to 2 Halloween parties, and Omar's watching live, he's in the stream. He is one of the folks who has invited me to a Halloween party, and for on the 26th of October. Well, fucking get this, there's another party on the 26th of October that we have to go to, and I don't even know what to do with my life. I don't even know what to do with my and
Why not
I told
both? Like
we're going to go to both.
yeah, okay. Good
But
to
but
go.
it but initially, Chelsea was like, "We have a party to go to on the 26th, for this benefactor for the school." I'm like, "Can't go. We got Omar's party on the 26th." She's like, "Well, we have to go to this one." Like, "Well, we have to go to Omar's. We already told him we were gonna go." Like, "Well, we have to go to this one." Like, "Yeah, but we can't because 'cause we're going to this one over here." And it, like, went back and forth for however long, I can maintain a joke. Um, and so we are now gonna go to both of them, but it's just so weird, and both of the parties are, like, full costume parties and full you can bring kids along to it, and I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what this is anymore. I
It's
think the last
it's you getting an opportunity twice in one night to deal with your social anxiety.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You know what? The last Halloween I'm gonna I'm gonna start this, and then I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna turn it over to you. The last Halloween party I went to, by myself was, I think, in Oklahoma with some of the folks that we know of.
I'm trying to figure out if that was the same last Halloween party I went to.
I don't know. Zach was there. Zach Skiba, uh,
Nope,
Jones,
not the same party.
some young guys, right?
I went with
And
older dudes.
And I was, you haven't seen the movie, I don't know, Trick or Treat. I made my own Trick or Treat Sam costume, and I made like a burlap sack over like a bicycle helmet. You didn't see the bicycle helmet, but it's a burlap sack, and it was like sewed up in the middle, had button eyes, and I was Sam from the movie Trick or Treat, and I bought like a gigantic orange onesie because he has like an orange onesie pajama costume. I thought my costume was pretty cool. Burlap itches a lot, but that was the last party I went
Yeah,
to. What was the last Halloween part, like real Halloween party you went to?
it was in Oklahoma. It was at somebody's house. It was a bunch of, um, adults consuming beverages and dressed in ridiculous costumes, and uh, like some of the costumes were like what you expect adults to dress up as, and then my wife and I went as Charlie Brown and Lucy. Um, and
Oh.
I just like drew the like little curly Q like on my bald head, and then had like the Charlie Brown shirt. And I don't know, it was fun. Hung out with old Ryan McGovern,
Oh, yeah,
and
alright.
yeah, it was good times. I don't know. I feel like I feel like I'm the type of person that would love hosting a party, um, but not the type of person that wants to go to a party. I don't know what that is about me.
I'm kind of the opposite in the sense that I don't want to do either normally.
Yeah, yeah,
But I would rather go to a party because I mean, you know how I feel about people at my house. I not that I don't mind people in my house. I like having people over,
yeah.
but
So
there's
long as they leave in a suitable amount of time.
yeah, and I don't know if I've always been like that. I remember in my days of being in a dormitory or when I got my first house, people would come over and I didn't know how to tell them to leave. I hoped that they had the social knowledge or observation skills to see, "Oh, you know what? Brandon doesn't Brandon wants to go to sleep. He's yawned 5 times in 10 seconds. Now's the time to leave." And I think I have some kind of PTSD from it
Okay.
where I don't want people over. I don't want people over. They're not gonna know when to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every once in a while we go over to somebody else's house and Chelsea is that person that I'm extra aware of her being like, "I think it's we should go. We should go. We should go." And she's like, "No,
Yeah, we're having fun.
woo." And somebody yawns 5 times in 10 seconds. I'm like,
You're
"No,
like,
that's."
I'll start the car. See ya. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess some people leaving or people going to bed night night.
Yeah,
Something.
we should all go to bed, but I do wanna say this, Travis. Thank you to you for hanging out with me tonight, and
Aw.
and to all those folks in YouTubes and Twitchers lands, thank you for watching.
Yeah, and I mean Monday nights. Mark your calendars because we've been pretty consistent about our Monday night rotation. If you're not a Rick and Morty fan, I'm sorry, but once November rolls around, expect interdimensional RSS in this time slot pretty much every week throughout season 4.
Yeah,
So AE seems to take a bit of a hiatus during the season just because there's so much Rick and Morty stuff going on. But we do love the show, and we love that you guys enjoy watching it. We appreciate you guys hanging out. And yeah, I mean, I think we got probably uh, uh, not a record, but close to it as far as how many people hanging out consistently in here. So
yeah, yeah.
uh, tell your friends if you're enjoying the show. Share it. We gotta hit that 100. We gotta hit that 100 on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch and you haven't subscribed on YouTube, I don't care if you watch it on YouTube, but please go subscribe over there. Help us get that URL. And maybe I'll tweet about it this week. I don't know. I don't do a lot of
Yeah,
tweeting these
maybe.
days.
We we
Uh,
we we don't do very well with our social media. Maybe that's a fault on ours.
yeah,
Maybe it's a fault of societies.
we're so busy. We're so busy
They they
with
have such high expectations of streamers, of YouTube personalities, of podcasters. We can't it's hard for us to live up to these just inflated, perceptions of what folks should do on the social media sphere. You can't live up to it. You try to. You wake up in the morning and you say, "I'm gonna live up to it today," but you can't. You have other obligations. You gotta eat breakfast.
And
Lucky
that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I didn't realize I hadn't subscribed on YouTube. Oh, thank you,
Lucky Charms.
RGNX.
Lucky Charms is what you have to eat, you know? Not none of these, like, fancy, like, "Oh, marshmallows only, because you need the crunch of the you the fiber. You need the fiber. You can't just have the sugar of the.
Brandon is the fiber. He's the marshmallow. I'm the fiber of this show. Who's Sid Haig?
Oh, yeah, RIP Sig Haig. Sid
Sid
Haig.
Sid
Uh,
Haig.
if you've ever watched, House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects or Zombie's new movie coming out, I think Three Devils, who Sid Haig is, Captain Spaulding in those movies. He's a horror icon at this point in time. He's also dead at 80, so rest in peace. Shout out also to, the Rick and Morty crew. Mike Mendel passed. I see a lot of folks torn
Oh
up about
yeah,
that.
a lot of.
Producer, Rick and Morty. worked on like 200 episodes of The Simpsons. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are unhappy about that.
Sad way to end the show, but yeah, we appreciate you guys hanging out. And we should do this more often, like every week.
Every week on Monday, at or around
At
9
or
p.m.
around 9 o'clock. All right, that's it. I'm gonna hit the end stream button. Thank you guys for hanging out. Bye.